Hey everybody, welcome to Arch's Garage, and we have a pretty cool engine here. So a quick backstory and I'll tell you what we're going to be doing with it. 190cc, this thing's pretty cool. Very common motor, Intech IC. It's made from two. I got a couple of these, I collected them over a couple of years, and I think it was over the winter, whatever, I kind of came to the point where I'm like, well, these things are so common. This one's got a pulley on it. Used in mini bikes, go-karts, snow blowers, oh my, wood chippers, right? It's a really nice common motor. It's made a few different years. I'm not sure what this one was from. It's not a Snow King version. Sometimes you'll see it'll say Snow King on the front, and it have a little different intake system on it. So one motor made from two. One of them was completely seized up. Looked like it got water in it. Could probably give you a little footage on that, depending on which video. I think one of the videos will have more footage on it than the other. And so two different ones, slightly different years. Got it together working, and so I've got this now on the side, up on the shelf, and something that I can use for whatever the application comes along. Now in this video, we're going to actually work on the carburetor, and shout out to HIPA for supplying us with a nice carburetor. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit about what happened to the original carburetor, and you know, how to put one on, going through that, and a few little changes you need to make. When HIPA gives you a carburetor, most of these manufacturers, it's kind of the same thing. There's a couple little things you got to do, you know, so to make sure that it's kind of, I wouldn't say universal, but the choke blade may be a little different. You may have a different choke actuator blade. There's just a few things you want to go through. So we're going to go through that, and shout out to HIPA again. Like I said, thank you very much. It seems to run pretty good. However, as I'll show you at the end, we do need to adjust the carburetor, and that's going to have to be a different episode. I didn't do it in this episode because it would require some drilling of the carburetor, and that is something that warrants a second video. And as I say at the end of this video, I'm going to wait on that until I have an application. If I can tune it better just for it running here, right, and idling, but we really want to tune it with a load on it. All right, so stay tuned. We're going to get to this video. All right, carb's off. It sucked water in. It's lock solid, guys. There's no hope. I'll see if I have one. It looks like it's stuck wide open. I'll see if I have one. If not, we'll order one. This one's definitely shot. We'll go in there maybe later, but you can imagine what's in there. It's probably rock solid. Let me keep taking this apart, and I'll take what I want, you know, what we can, and it's probably waterlocked. Sucked water in and then locked down the cylinder, and so it's no good. But I've seen it where the covers get really rusty. I've seen it. We might want the magneto. That's if it's in good shape. Let's take a peek. We're going to have to clean the old carburetor out, but HIPA sent me this a while back, and shout out to HIPA. It didn't work out on the project, and they give you some different pieces for here for the choke. We have to free up this choke mechanism. We're going to need this choke handle, but it looks like it's the correct carburetor, so we'll work on that a little bit later. This thing was really bad, if you remember. Now, there's all kinds of crud coming out of there. And so this morning, when I was doing some of the other things off camera, I threw this in my aluminum acid. I have some just extra laying around. And at least all the fuzz is off. And we should be able to remove this. Now, first we'll try grabbing it and see if we can just pull it out, because it's clean now. See? And then, so it goes that way, and then we should be able to pull this right up. All right, so we've retrieved that arm. Now, I'm gonna give a shout out to HIPA. All right, Nina over there, thank you, Nina, and for setting us up and helping us out on this project. So the carburetor comes like this. And it comes with one of these, right? Some of them, there's different ones too that you can get from HIPA, HIPA. And here's the gaskets and such. So if you need to, I think we'll put that on there straight away. Right, that's just a lubrication felt. Dust boot. And if you want, we could take a new one, or we could take the original equipment. So this is the way it went. They just give you a couple of different types, so match up to what you have, right? And then this is, you know, goes with this, or in some cases they have some different ones, right? An extension. I think theirs is just a little bit thinner. So we'll use the factory one because we're using the factory piece here. And we should be able to just, is that clean? Yeah. It feels clean. If there's any debris on it, now's your time to remove it. And it should go in. Like so. Make sure it goes down all the way, and then we can take our blade, and there's those stops. Make sure it's going to move on for us. Okay. Seems about right, right? It's not quite at the stop. So if you're not sure, see the stops there, here, and here, and here, right? They kind of grip it. Make sure we're in all the way. Now it can't really come out, especially when you're in the right spot. Yeah, that feels about right. Let's see, let's check it. Yeah, see? And it closes fully. All right, now we can mount this, and we've got some new gaskets. We'll put a little bit of oil on das Boot. Das Booten. All right, we're all good there. I'm sure we'll have to tune it, you know, like adjust the idle, but, you know, it might come correct. This one doesn't even move. It's frozen. I tried opening this up. It's locked solid. Throw that out. So we have another gasket. We also have our front gasket. But I think ours looks more like this, but that's nasty. Let's rinse that off. We'll see what fits with what when we get to that point. Yeah, it's just got yuck all over it. Oh, it broke. But this one's not important because that's just, if we have to, we can either make another one or we could just use it as it is. It's just the seal to the front housing for dust. Okay. Let's go over to the other table and let's put this thing on. Oh, wait, got one more thing to do. Almost forgot. I cleaned up pretty much everything. This is nasty. And all that gross stuff in there. So let me just give this thing a wipe. All right, I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, we're over here with our Briggs motor, and so what I did was I sprayed this a little bit of chain wax, and this is a phenolic spacer, so it goes here, and then you kind of lock the gasket that mates to the carburetor in, right, and the ears, and it's not a bad idea because it can keep it from sticking, and it does improve the gasket performance a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're just going to leave that there for now, right, if it stays there for us, which it might. Let that dry. Now we have to, we've got to be able to get the carburetor connected to the linkage. So I'm going to pull you a little bit out of our way. And there's a spring, and then there's the linkage. So we'll pull the linkage forward a little bit, get that engaged until it feels like it's correct. Okay, and then we have to try to get our spring. You may need a pair of tweezers or a small pair of pliers or something. but I think I can do it with my fingers. I got it, and I'm going to show you a close-up of that in a minute, but I just want to get you started here. Now, I like to put a little bit of oil, I should have done this first, on the threads. I clean all my bolts, make things go in a little bit easier, and this is also important in case I want to take it apart again, in case there's something else going on, or a little bit of deformation. See the intake port? It's like a wall right there. But it's assumed the position. There's no particular way, but keep in mind that I'm pulling parts from different motors. They're slightly different years, maybe a couple of years or so, but they make changes. So we got the carburetor hung on a throttle rod. Put that up here. And it's just a little easy for me to do it like this. It's on the bench because, you know, we're basically building one motor from two. A full repair. All right, let's get that started. Make sure it feels okay, because if there's any damage to the threads, we'll know. Feels like it's a little bit tight. Let me feel the other one. Sometimes you have to run a tap and things. I mean, this motor, we're resurrecting a motor. Yeah, you know what it is? I see what it is. It's actually the shoulder of the bolt. It's grabbing that. I want to just check all around to make sure that it's sealed well. That's tight. Now you can put a wrench on it or a socket, but that feels about right. You know, you don't want to over tighten it. And then we want to check to see that it's moving properly. So since I have the gas tank off, and if you don't have the gas tank off, it's easier with the tank off because you want to check to make sure that this is moving correctly. Up here in the governor area, and this will come down a little bit once we have the side cover on, right? That feels right. Make sure it's returning. That's good. And then of course our choke, and then we'll get to the fuel line a little bit. I'm going to test this motor just like this and check the oil. And we just want to test fire it, make sure everything is okay. And then if everything seems like it's running, we'll just put a little fuel line here, have it stick up, put some gas in it, right? Fill the bowl, make sure there's no leaks. And then I'll drill start it. And we got to bolt it down. We got to secure it to the table either by a bolt or a bunch of clamps or something. So we'll be right back and we'll check that out. I'm going to get you in and just show you a little bit more of the spring arrangement and everything while you can see it. Springs in a little hole. And that plastic bushing, right, is for the throttle rod. Just let it warm up. Oh, yeah, it doesn't like that yet. It doesn't like a throttle change yet. Don't know why. We might need to mount it to something that doesn't make so much noise. Now we may have to pull this carburetor out and open up the jet. But what we really want to find out is it leaking at all? And that's one thing we want to check. We might have to drill the jet on this carburetor because it's bogging when we nail it, right? It shouldn't do that, and that means that it's not getting enough fuel, enough enrichment. But we definitely need to run it longer to find out if we can check the plug. And it's not hot. I want to check the oil. It's getting warm. All right, I'm going to check a few things. Let it cool down a little bit to handle. And then, because the muffler. And we'll put the side covers on and stuff, and we'll start doing the plumbing to the carburetor. Okay, so this is the tank I cleaned up, and I left it on the heater last night. Now, if you have a dirty tank, I would recommend you rinse it out with the hose. But if you do that, you're going to need to blow it out with compressed air and leave it out in the sun to dry for a day or so. This is dry. Now, what I want to mention is that once you've taken a tank off, you're going to need to bend these ears in just a little bit. Just a little bit, because otherwise you'll be fighting to get the tank on. And I didn't even bend them in that much, but enough. And again, I put a little bit of no-sees. Now I'm at 10 millimeter, right? Whereas before, what was it, 3/8 or something? I think it's one of those things where we should probably put this on with the tank, right? My recommendation would be is put this on when you're putting the tank on if you've taken the tank off. Because otherwise, especially if you're trying to do it on the machine or something, not so easy to do. I got it. Okay, so if you have to do it, let's put a little bit of, I already blew out the hose. Just to make it easier to push on. That's good. And a clamp on. This is on. Okay, now the fuel is shut off right now, so that would be on. So we have to put it like that to get this cover plate on. I need to find the screws for this cover plate next. So I just learned something. Slip that on. And see if we could get this guy lined up. It's starting to go on. There we go. Let me go find the screws. Then we have another box to put on. Okay, so now I have a nice 5 horsepower overhead valve engine, a little bit more modern for a project. 2 motors into one, and this motor needed quite a bit of work, but I think it's a worthy project, and it came out nice. It's running real good. I'm not going to tune the carburetor yet, guys. I'm going to wait either for to see what the motor is going to be put in, right? Is it going to be under load, or is it going to be like this, running like this? And then when you goose it, and then you put the load on, we don't know. I don't know what the application is. So I don't want to tune it yet for that. And I do want to say again, thank you for Nina and over at HIPA and helping us out on this. We needed a carburetor. That carburetor was locked solid, right, from Chuck. So I'm really happy. We got a motor. Put it on the shelf over there. I'm going to clean up a little bit, and I want to thank you guys for watching. It all came out really good. So I'll see you next time on Archer's Garage.